with things.
Okay.
The handout I gave you, which everyone that's present here has,
Right.
it's kind of in the draft form, and one thing that so the projected budget was 271,666. So that was a projected budget when we looked at it this past spring.
Mm-hmm.
And what the bids came in at was 202, it's over 202,178. So it's, and some of that is how we're experiencing inflation. That's all, here, but.
There's one company doing, not one company is not doing everything.
Right, and that was, so the other thing was too, is and this is Jeff Mangan from Nexus Solutions, so.
Right.
I know that
yeah,
Kerry
yeah.
met him and.
Yeah, I don't think either Matt
Right.
took the tour.
We were, it was the other committee.
Yeah, it was the
Before
other
April.
Colin
Yeah.
and Lisa.
So before April, we walked it and we described what was going on. And there was some history that was shared with, when I first arrived, it was a blacktop playground. That summer, they changed it into sod. That didn't last long because it was the only grass the kids could play on, and they gravitated toward that.
I've heard this story, I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe I've heard this.
Yeah, and I think I might have put that in some of my director's reports too.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at trying to do something that's gonna be, more kid-friendly than blacktop. And
More turf.
Ken Holzman asked me to look at not blacktop, but soft turf surface, which is turf. It's not quite like Rubik Field, but it would be filled with sand, and it would still be the same kind of thing. So, after the first of the year, I got the green light to contact Nexus to have them put back the bid specifications, go up to bid, and the bids were assembled in late to mid June, and the bids are higher than anticipated by about 75% or so.
Oh, 75%.
Yep. And what I'm hearing from
Buying lumber.
what I'm hearing from the engineer or the designer is that and Jeff, you might be able to help me, there's probably 30 companies that they invited to bid.
Yes.
And I didn't print that out because the print was really small, and there's a page and a half of interested bidders that they went and contacted for this work. We didn't get a whole great turnout. Some of them said, we've already got a lot of stuff that's already in our, going on. So.
Can you go over the scope of work real quick with me, just, when you, and then describe, compared to Ashford, let's go through that.
Okay, sure.
So I know what we're talking about. So it's the Jefferson Playground.
Jefferson Playground, when you look at it right now, it's primarily the dirt. And then there's a couple areas of concrete that we're cleaning up. You see a big cut in the concrete that's blacktop. We're gonna square that off. Okay, so the plow trucks can go around a little bit easier with the same material, some small cosmetic things like that. We also had in the base bid to add to an add alternate, because the whole west side of the existing blacktop it's on a fairly good slope, so it's aged pretty well. But we said, you know what, let's find out, as long as they're here, if they were to regrind that and make it nice, how much would that cost? So that was like an add alternate. If the prices were good, we want to do that. That would give us information we could determine at that time.
So the finished product is going to be what?
So the finished product would be, not counting that base bid extra.
No, I'm saying the surface.
Oh, the surface would be turf, grass turf filled with sand.
Okay.
And what's at Rubik Field is it's a similar type of, synthetic turf.
Yep.
Different brand, whether it's Xerox or, IBM.
Sure.
And it's filled with rubber chrome.
Okay, and this would be sand.
This would be sand.
More cost effective than the rubber?
More cost effective, yeah.
Okay.
More durable. And it's a lot easier for us to be able to put more sand in. We've got these huge sacks of rubber chrome that we'll have to top dress that field when it gets, I don't know.
And you like the sand for this particular application, Nexus, and you?
Right,
Okay.
right, yeah, and from what other people do,
Okay.
you know, I talked to Dave in Sheboygan and asked him how he did his, I think they did,
Okay.
one of the schools.
Approximately how many square?
This one here is about 14,500 square feet.
What's that? Who's still there?
That's my base question. Thank
Sure,
you. That's
yeah,
all I
yeah,
heard.
yeah,
That's what I
so,
need.
yep, appreciate you.
Now, continue.
Anything I can do to flesh this out for you, because I've been thinking about it for a year and a half. And so, yeah, everything, please stop me. So,
Okay.
so where we're sitting today is that we didn't get a great turnout from the bidders that we were hoping to get 2 or 3 people or more interested in doing this. And Nexus reached out to those folks and said, hey, you know, how come you didn't bid? And some said, well, we're too far away for such a small project. You know, Vinton is in our backyard, so that's always great that we've got someone that can do it. So what would entail basically is to dig out the existing dirt down to a place where I don't know how deep they would go. I also asked them to please do some soil testing because from what I understand, and I think Courtney's here to tell you the history, she's got teachers who taught in the old building. And there might be some rubble from the old building that we might run into. So we might have to,
Oh, sure.
Yeah, where our current playground sits is the foundation of the old Jefferson. And that's
Right.
part of what is causing part of the playground to sink, is because they didn't put in that strong base layer on
Oh,
the other half of the playground.
so I made them aware that we'd probably have to double check how good the base was, because everything we build on top of that is gonna be hopefully built to last for quite a long time. The only thing we'd have to do in 12 to 16, 17 years is replace the rug. Replace the
Yeah.
natural turf.
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years roughly, depending, it could go 18, but reasonably 15 is a good number. So that's built up with a bunch of sand and some drain tile and then a concrete nailer, so you can nail basically the rug, and as I'll refer to it as the turf, has to get nailed and attached to some frame around. And then they would then fill it with the sand, drag it to get all the things smoothed out. We have some minimal lines drawn for just regular, generic, either, you know, whatever the kids wanted to do. We don't have numerals cut in or anything like that, but there's some lines like a football field, where they could use that as a soccer field, you know, kind of generic to do a one size fits all. And the other thing that we had in the project that I thought a lot about, and I saw some things, and with Courtney and I talking about how much that area gets used off hours and on weekends, which is because it's a great community place to play, is some of we have to kind of guard it against stuff that might happen that we don't want it to happen, like
so I was
VFS.
wondering, could you get holes in that astroturf?
Yeah,
That's because I'm wondering if, you know what I mean, because it is such a
Sure.
community centralized.
it's a fabric
Yeah,
filled with sand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I mean, my daughters played with their friends and they ended up all over there, you know,
Sure.
bumping around, and I'm like, you know, I can imagine off times, that's dangerous as far as.
so one of my main concerns was people, you know, not respecting the property, driving their dirt bike on there or their car, or, you know, we won't be able to really prevent people because I don't want to fence the entire thing. So we have some bollards, like if you go to, Target, they got the big red balls in front of Target. Those are for vehicle penetration of the building. So, well, let's make it hard for any vehicles to get through, but people can walk through, and yeah, we could have some bikes out there, but we're not too concerned. We're really worried about vehicles, bigger, heavier vehicles. So we've got different buddy benches that would be spaced differently, that would be helping the kids, if parents sit and relax. Some of those big bollards that we would paint as a baseball or a soccer ball or some sort of, you know, perimeter vehicle prevention.
And then more, and then
so
in
to
between,
speak.
there's 4 of the bollards, and then, in between those and the benches are posts.
Yeah.
So,
So we call them bumper.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sure.
They're bumper posts.
Yeah.
You can put sleep, you can put plastic sleep
Yeah.
over them.
Right,
And safe.
right. So that was one of the protective measures we wanted to do. that created a whole host of opportunities for kids to sit on top of the baseball, or parents or grandparents to sit in the benches and, you know, and do that. Plus the kids that just want to sit and relax and visit and gossip about school or whatever during recess, you know, things like that. And the other scope that you see there for asphalt paving, some of it was to regrind and correct the other stuff on the west, which is okay now. It would be nice to have that be better. So, and then the playground specialties, Lee Recreation, we use those guys a lot. They're doing something at Monroe with the PTA this summer. And that represents some of the buddy benches and some of the things that we put around to prevent people, things that we don't want on the field to be put out there. So that's kind of in a nutshell, kind of an overview. What kind of questions do you have for me?
Okay, sir.
Sure, go ahead.
Pretty much, I have a statement. I'll start with, great idea, great plan. I'm supporting 100%. So in the future, I do support this. This is what I want for our community. The benefit of everybody to have a nice facility. So don't take my next words into haste because of what I'm saying now. But however, having that we invited 30 bidders, and we had one that completed essentially the nuts and bolts of the project and returned back. That's not a process to move forward. And then you told me that 75% increase in what we proposed, which I understand, but that's realistic. In some aspects is realistic, but to have only one contractor that came back with a price, it's really kind of hurting the ability for us to have options. So that I don't really like as well.
Sure.
If there's any more insight you have about the invitations to the 30 other, 29 other contractors?
No, I don't, but I was gonna wait for to tell you what my recommendation is,
Sure.
which is to,
Maybe I'll wait.
yeah, no, that's right, because we're on the same
Because I
track.
have a recommendation too, but I'm not gonna, I'll wait for yours.
Yeah, you might not have to say that, I will. So one of the things that I've talked with Nexus about, they've got lots of these projects throughout the state. They are the ones that are helping us with the Dectron unit at the high school. And so, they've seen some of the things that we're seeing and experiencing. My recommendation, as much as I'd like to get this in, is let's go for bid earlier. Let's put this out for bid in December. Get on these guys' ticket early to do this, and right now a lot of them already had lots of work lined up. If we get early.
There's the recession and prices.
We're here
Yeah.
right now. So I completely agree with you on what I want to get it done. So like, I understand our children, but if we just have a little more patience, and I know this, and it's hard for
I
you to
know.
explain to teachers and the students, but if we have patience and do our due diligence, we can save our children a lot of money, and our taxpayers a lot of money, because these prices are inflated because there's so much work right now.
Yeah.
And if we just, there will be less work, and then we can get some more value out of this. And that's kind of my perspective at this moment, because I know how busy the market is, and so they're just guessing.
Yeah. Sure.
So you did say early on, some of them didn't bid because they had lots of work as it was, so.
Some of them in lots of
So it's
work,
not a
some of them said it's not big enough for me to come across from Eau Claire or wherever it might be coming from. You know, and they, you know, as you go farther away from home base, your costs increase, so.
And how would you rate them as a, you know,
So they'd be fine to do it, it's just they have a competition.
yeah, but are they usually higher price or
Oh,
just competitive?
that's not even worth talking about.
Yeah,
Just they're the best person to probably do it, but we need to have some comparables.
okay, sure.
But sure. And then I was my next thing, the scope of work, did we want to say that it was gonna get done in summer? Was that the window that we gave on the bid package?
Well, we gave them, you know, and Courtney, because she's been, you know, all of Jefferson is anxious to do this.
Sure.
They will go across to, what's the park down the
So we
street?
kind of have, yeah,
Yes.
there's Pulaski Park in
Yeah.
the summertime that we could use for summer school recess. That was our plan for this summer if this was gonna.
Oh,
go through.
can you use that part?
But during the school,
Yeah.
but during the school year, it would become extraordinarily challenging.
So that's what I'm asking, in
Yeah.
the bid, if
Yeah.
you give them a hard date that it had to be done. Yeah.
We floated it into September a little bit, knowing that if they were buttoning things up. And I don't remember exactly what they anticipated this process taking as far as how many weeks.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't recall specifically, sorry about that.
That happens all the time. We
Yeah.
have 14 weeks to start date.
Right, yeah.
June 1st, and has to be done.
Yeah.
September.
I try to lean on being very flexible with the contractor, knowing that they can do that in the time and I don't push them too hard. They're gonna be, things will flow easy for them. It's better for everybody. If I have a hard stop and we explain that hard stop, I believe in letting them know right away about that hard stop, but I don't think we had a very firm hard stop. So if it floats into September a little bit, we're fine with that.
But the tentative start
Summer
date
is
was still
ideal.
June. Was
Yeah.
that, was on the date package?
Yeah.
July.
Yeah, well, I think it was
It's after
July.
July 1.
Because that's hurting us as well.
Right. Right,
That's-
right.
And I understand why we have a.
We're talking next year.
Well, no,
This was for this.
this was
summer.
this summer.
We've already still eating too much.
No, we have a bid that's right here.
I guess probably
Okay,
start
it's fine.
being already
It
well
wouldn't
into
it wouldn't get started till September.
Oh.
Maybe, I'm just guessing, but, okay, so that's, any other questions I had? So we did give them the option that we could use Pulaski Park in the summer.
Yeah,
That
and-
we wanted to.
And typically, we only have academy there, so we can work around it. We have kind of the side yard space. With summer school, there's less student population than there would be during the school year, so we can make that work.
Silly question, but does
Yeah.
the busing still go through for school boards through Jefferson? No?
Just the what?
There used to be school forest,
I have
when,
no idea.
okay, that was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I have no
Sorry. So you don't have any
idea.
busing traffic in the mornings? in
All
summer?
busing traffic that we would have that's there right now goes to the front of the building.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is it still used though, daily in summer?
Right now, it's being used for Wellness Academy for third to fifth graders.
That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Thank you, because that all matters.
As far as buses go, I think Jefferson probably has the least amount of buses.
Least amount of buses,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just because it's such a community.
yeah.
Yep.
Usually,
Yeah.
So there used to be summer school programs that would pick up
yeah,
at Jefferson
Okay.
for school forest.
Oh,
So
I think
it was
that
just
might be
essentially,
happening.
this is years ago, but I was a part of that, but
that's
yep,
why.
that's why just traffic is always an issue, so
Okay, yep.
sorry, it's kind of a side note. but-
No, yep, and I wouldn't know those, that in, that you would, so that's why I'm glad you said that, that's all.
yeah. And I think knowing if we're pushing this into next summer, odds are we would not be planning a Wellness Academy to occur at Jefferson. We would plan it for a different location in the district.
Yeah.
And our academy, that's later in the summer, we certainly can work around it. It's not, that won't be an issue at all.
Okay, so like, I understand where it's kind of moving. Is there anything that we could do our due diligence now to help facilitate this being easier next go around? And this is kind of the question to Nexus, for a bid package going out in December for this job.
We view it, like we've discussed here, as a timing issue. You know, we got to work on this project, got to go ahead late. And we've had this happen on other projects.
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
pretty right.
hurt to come up with a design and try, because you never know if somebody had a cancel job or something. But that didn't work this time, but I would say, you know, the design work is done. And, you know, just try again in December. And
Yeah, I'm just saying, is there any way that we could open up the scheduling ability for these contractors that they could do it late fall? If we could somehow have resources before the snow flies, you know, so that would help move the process forward for you and for our kids. And it might save us more money, as well, because then they're not locked into saying we're committing June 1st. It could be a fill-in job late year before snow flies.
I'll run that by the project manager. I may go to
I
that.
think it would be really challenging.
I understand the challenge.
From
Because it's
the
COVID.
standpoint of even, and all of our entrances into the building come off of the playground. Our parent drop off is on.
Yeah,
Yellow.
it's on the south
Yeah,
side.
so, I think, from a.
Doesn't hurt to kick it around the table.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I understand that, but I'm trying to get it
Yeah.
done sooner.
No, I know what you're trying to do. I'm just telling you,
You're very
logistically, from a safety
But I
lens
know.
thing, I'm going.
We don't want any, to be honest, we really don't want the children around at all when we're doing the
Right.
project. That's like, so it really does restrain you for the ability to get this done
Yeah,
in a timely. So that's why we're gonna be paying and bringing for at least, so.
And that's why I'm asking, because I know you're construction. Do you agree that waiting that little bit, is that why you're saying waiting that little bit? Because there's gonna be less, competition, people's schedules free up a little bit closer.
I'll kind of go through it with you one more time.
Yeah.
First of all, standard, you'd never move forward if you only had one bid. Like, it's very rare that you should be moving forward with one bid. That's standard, number one. You really shouldn't move forward if we just have one bid, unless it had to get done emergency. Like, that would be logical. Second, the market is really, really bad right now for it's just really, there's so much work and there's less and less employees.
Yeah.
So this is with Northeast. This is pretty much probably the lead recreation. It's probably gonna be a couple of people, so they could probably resource that. The turf, obviously, that's gonna be a huge project. So that's why they got $150,000. What I'm saying is, we're paying a premium right now, like premium. If we really have to get something done, then we pay it. But if we wait 6 months, we probably could save some money on just with how everything's been so busy in the last 2 years.
I just don't see any type of an improvement with any of that, like as far as, having more workers or whatever it may be. I just don't see any type of an improvement until like probably after 2024, like the 2025 summer.
So I agree to a point, however, there's only one bidder. So like,
Right.
that's where, like, we kind of put all our apples together. It's not feasibly, logically, the best decision to move forward right now because of that mainly. Now, if we do this bid in December, we come back with the same thing, then we can kind of discuss, okay, well, this is where we're at now. We want to have the kids have a nice resource. This is what we're gonna have to pay. Let's move forward with it. So that's kind of where, this is, how many times has this been bid? Okay, so that is another thing with any kind of public project. We go through bid process 2-3 times sometimes. So like it's, and if the contractors were busy or the bidders couldn't be at the opening that day, you just didn't get them. So like Nance and Tyler, they said they were gonna possibly bid, but then they didn't give them a price.
Right.
Like they were too busy or they didn't. So like moving forward,
Wasn't a big enough
if
job.
well, it's actually a pretty good job for some of the local ones, like I said, Vinton and Nance, and that's a perfect job for them. It's a good job.
Right.
But, depends on how busy they are that season.
Right.
So we just had 3 factories that built in Manitowoc. And 3 factories in the last year.
Right.
So things have been pretty good right now with construction, so this hasn't been a big priority for them.
Right.
In my opinion.
No,
So
when it
it
comes
seems
to
like
this
he's
stuff-
parodying what I'm saying, but I'm just saying it out loud.
Oh, that's fine. When it comes to this stuff, I know that.
So
Yeah.
I think we would probably be best moving, but I'm trying to say, what can we do to make it better for us having it bid in December? Or we could bid it late before December too.
Sure we can.
I mean, we could,
Yeah.
so it's July, I mean, we could feasibly put this out in September and then we could we could bid it again in December if we had to. So that's where I would be at. And then we
Yeah.
can really see where we get, some more competitiveness. But after this quarter, we're gonna start seeing some things open up, I feel. So I feel that materials are going down. I feel plastics are gonna, like plastic is almost highest it's ever been. And obviously this turf is a synthetic.
Synthetic.
So we're paying a premium for the turf as well, like, the sand is going. Getting a good price. So I wanna move forward for our children, but I wanna be smart and I wanna spend our taxpayers' money correctly. So I don't know what fund this is coming out of, how, this has probably already been earmarked for.
Yeah, I would talk with, I mean, from what I understand, it's, the Fund 46 capital improvements fund.
So that money, we wouldn't be.
Fund 46.
Okay.
And we just voted to put more into that.
Yep, so that money isn't going anywhere,
Right.
as long as we spend it on the correct things.
Right.
But what I want to do is this discussion, I want to be productive. How can we help facilitate the discussion for improvement for our children, saying, hey, we're gonna be doing this. We want to do it, is there any more things that we want to tweak? Is there anything you had that you were involved in with the process of design that was good or
I
bad?
love the
Yeah.
design. The design is phenomenal.
Yeah, we
Good with
we
traffic.
had,
Yeah.
we had Courtney in on the design.
Yeah.
We kind of mulled some things over, and then when we presented it to Courtney, there was everything she thought about, yeah, this is great. We asked about some of the color things on the
Yeah.
balls or the betty benches or, the lines on the field that I don't care how we do it. And so, yeah, I thought the process was good. I think just knowing that you guys are in support of it, because I wasn't quite sure because of the transition from one committee to another.
Yeah.
That was a question in my mind. I didn't know for sure.
I think one of the biggest important things, I'm definitely supportive. I want to follow what he said, because I know
Sure.
Matthew's gonna know when it comes to the market, as far
Right.
as dealing with construction,
Yeah.
because it's for living. But, and maybe you might not know, but Jefferson itself is like the only school that really has no anything yeah, it's just, it's in a real, urban, or I
It's
guess.
an urban
Oh,
playground.
it's
Dense
definitely
urban
an
population,
urban
yeah,
school,
but it has a lot of
It's like-
people, but it's not,
it's
it's
got
not
the worst
safe
kids
to
in
cross
town
the road
there.
without, parents all the time, so.
Sure.
Having a.
I think that we do something like this is, I think it's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, those kids deserve it.
Yeah.
So nothing comes to mind right now. I appreciate you wondering if there's something we can do, either, demolition, construction type of to get ahead of the game, but that would be too much of an impact of what they use right now.
Right.
Knowing that you all support is great, and if we can go, I guess, talk with the team and find out if we want to do this and get a bid package out before Thanksgiving and have them submit bids by early December.
We could,
Or do we want to
yeah, I
go
think
early?
we should have a reasonably elaborate motion made that this committee will recommend to the board this project that we're fully, I mean, I'm not counting my chickens yet, but I would say that we're very supportive.
Yeah.
The committee's very supportive of it and strongly recommend that, that further bids be put on.
That could just be informational that we talk about it.
Well, what we'll do,
Well, I
when we
think,
do
yeah,
the
I mean,
bidding,
I think the motion.
we'll meet again when
motion
we
should
have
be
the
constructive
bids.
too, I think, so. But I think that we want to get on the side of this thing. And I think that we need that to be in a formal statement.
So the formal statement that I would like to say is let's put it out for rebid and give a date. And then nothing really happens until we get the bids.
Right,
So,
okay.
And I understand about how we can be supportive of it. The minutes are going to reflect that we're supportive of it. However, we don't want to just say that we're supportive of it and then write a blank check. So.
Oh, no,
What I'm
no,
saying,
no.
we need to,
That case.
we're supportive of rebidding it, ASAP is what I would.
Yeah.
And then you could possibly rebid it 2 more times before December. So we keep rebidding it until we're happy with the bids. That's what I would do. And then, but the hard date is when we want to do it. It's obviously next summer at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
We
kind
had
of.
talked this afternoon about the possibility, we were kind of locked into the July 1, post-July 1 start date this summer. But next summer, like June 12th, whatever that Monday after school is, like,
Yeah.
start ripping it up. Let's
Okay.
go.
So that's
It's
how,
possible.
I mean, that gives I think if we give it June, as soon as we can in June,
Yeah.
that helps anybody plan for them to be able to do it.
That's good.
And it gives almost 3 solid months. So if something gets delayed or whatever.
Yeah.
That you have time before school starts again, that we're not on the ripped up playground.
Yeah, that playground has been kind of problematic for some time. So, it would be nice to get it cleaned up, but, it's sort of business as usual what we do.
Are you gonna reformat the bid the same way? With the base bid and then addendum or?
We'll talk with the design guys, and I don't see any changes other than cosmetic of saying we're gonna bid it at this date and we want the bids due on this date. We'll change the date of when they can access the site. And we'll let them know that we're rebidding it to get more people in the state.
Yeah, I was just talking about details. I was just wondering if you wanted to change anything, or was it
Oh,
good the first?
I
time?
think it's really well thought out and really good.
One of the questions that I had just listening and reflecting on the reference to that their prior foundation there, could we get into a situation where there might be more cost because of what we might find?
That is a good possibility.
There are contingencies for unforeseen conditions. But we'll talk that through when we get that with the team.
And potentially what we might.
Talk about that particular issue, but I think we made Russ.
Yeah.
Aware of that.
Yeah.
We've dealt with that before.
I mean,
I just want to clarify. So all we're trying to do is put this turf on, so we'd only be going down about 16 inches at most.
All right.
Topsoil. and-
Something like that,
Yeah.
a foot to 16 inches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
foot maybe, so, no.
Yeah, we're not going very deep, and I can share with you
We're
this.
building it right over the top of the old school, right? And that could very well have rubble in there.
Yep, there's gonna be a base of about a foot, so, and then there's the removal of the old stuff, that's probably asphalt in topsoil right now,
True.
so we shouldn't be
We're
going over.
replacing the asphalt base with a new base.
But
Correct,
it's,
yeah,
I mean, a lot of it is settled in some of it, yes, right?
yep, which is settled, which is good.
Yeah.
So it should be
We
strong.
shouldn't be digging, unless there's a whole bunch of overburden of topsoil that needs to be moved, that I'm gonna look at the project, but
Right.
that would be the only time that, we'd be going over a few feet.
Okay.
So I don't foresee that. He's gonna tell you that answer though, because that's what we would tell you.
And what I can share with you, one of the benefits of going through COVID and my budget and my department not getting into a bunch of projects because of that, one of the things we did do that was a great thing to do is we got rid of all the old pea gravel that was not washed. And just as soon as we busted that pea gravel up with a concrete breaker on a Bobcat, and it would rain and snow, and Courtney can attest,
Back to cement.
there would be a hard pan anywhere from 2 inches or 4 inches or whatever below the pea gravel. We excavated all that out, put in brand new washed pea stone. My guys just demoed out the Monroe playground area, and that was down at least 18 inches of pea gravel. Because the pea gravel for STM ratings for playgrounds has to be a certain depth depending on how high the kids play. And so 9 inches, 10 inches is pretty standard for a pea gravel base. Sand has a different impact attenuating quality, so that sand has a different depth, and bark has a different, or mulch has a different. So I'm gonna say that when we did that project at all of our elementaries 2 years ago, Jefferson was one. I know that the excavation company did take out, and put in at least 12 inches, if not more. And they didn't run into anything there, so I'm putting a little holy water on the ground when they start doing the excavation in the grass area, that it's gonna be homogeneous throughout. But you're not ever really sure. And so we might run into something, but I'm not expecting that because of the depth at which they're demoing out and taking out soil and putting in the base to create this new play surface. So that's experience that I've had in the last couple of years with looking at the soil. Any questions about that, but I'm hopeful that it'll be just fine.
Is there any trees affected by the project?
No.
Okay. Is there a three-dimensional design that Nexus gave us that we paid for?
No, not three, it's just a blueprint type of thing that has the overlay of what the design looks like as far as what's blacktop, what's concrete, what's turf, and what the lines look like. I can share that.
So what I would like to see, and what I think our community would like to see, is obviously a rendering, a three-dimensional design that we can show to the school, you know, later in the bid process here, or a demo, that we can, you know, we can kind of generate some
Sure.
service for the
Right.
community, just to kind of help us, you know,
Yeah.
advertise this,
Sure.
for improvement for our school. So that, and then it kind of helps the children and the teachers know what the thought is, because like, it's in your head, or it's in your head, you've seen the blueprints, or you've read the blueprint, but not everybody can read the blueprints. So that's something that, is good for us to have if we're already paying the company to help us.
Sure.
We would like to see that for our children and for our teachers and our community members that are going to be coming in and out of that school. It's just something now we don't want to do it too soon, because obviously, because things can change, but if you guys are confident with the design that you guys have, and we think that that's feasibly able to do, that's something that we can really help our community development piece to this.
Sure.
Because otherwise people don't know when we're gonna do it, how it's gonna get done, if it's gonna get done, where the money is. So it's like, that's something we have to fulfill our requirement. Just
Sure.
inform our citizens.
That's good public relations.
It is.
That's cool.
Yeah, thanks for sharing it. What is so we can have Nexus do that. Do you want, is that something that we would do in January after we open up the bids and?
So what I would, we should do is move forward to try to get a bid, before things, well, actually, if we could try to get a bid in the next month and a half, and then we could, maybe 2 months, whatever, and then we can reconvene, and then we can do this maybe one more time before December, if we have to bid it again. So, and that really gives us the opportunity to kind of play.
Sure.
And then that's where you can see as a Nexus, and you can see if there needs to be tweaks with how people are giving us bid back. So like, if there's something that we could divide, that is more feasible for one contractor to do instead of all of them,
Right.
that's where we have the manipulation
Sure.
maneuver
Sure.
to see if we need to make any changes.
Yeah.
Because, the playground price is probably going to go up, but maybe the excavation will go down. So that's where, and maybe the district can purchase those things separately. That's something that you should
Yeah.
think about with Nexus,
Right.
that maybe if you're good with the playground specialist, you can,
Owner purchase.
yeah. So that's something that you and I don't know if they want to do with us, but that's something that you need to help to control the costs of the things that we don't think that are gonna be able to be fitted to other contractors.
Right.
So that's something that, and I know storage is an issue, but that's something that you might want to think about moving forward with.
Right.
So that's all I.
As far as the boards, I'm curious, because I think that's a great idea, but my question and wondering about is the timing, because I can certainly have one of those foam board type things that you typically see, on an easel, or you tape it to the inside of your office window, for people to see. I like that idea a lot. I'm curious about the timing of when that might be. After we do the
After
bids?
Thanksgiving, yeah, after Thanksgiving, because
Okay,
it's like, so September, we have to get the roll of having kids come in the building and all that.
sure.
So like, that's like just nuts and bolts of the school year. And then, I think it would be good to roll something out for our community, seeing it, and we would be done with a bid already by then, one round of bidding by Thanksgiving. And then we really have a conceptual idea for our community to see. And then we're almost in the final stages, and we can bid it one more time, and we can maybe generate even some buzz about it. That might help us, might hurt us, but I think that's a good idea.
It's gonna help us.
Well,
I mean, especially with data,
not if we don't have any other bidders.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think we have any other data.
So that's the one. So I
But we
think,
don't have to do, I mean, three-dimensional design is like, this very big PR.
yeah, I mean, they could be done in the next 3 weeks.
And they don't have to know the intricacies of the bid process or anything,
No,
so
no.
discover what it's gonna cost.
But I mean,
You know,
I think implementing that to our community or to students, September 1 is not the best idea because they're so busy already getting into the school year, seeing the new building, and there's kids coming in, and they're just trying to get acclimated to the facility first of all. So I think Thanksgiving around, and it could be sooner, but I think Thanksgiving is a good time to say, hey, this is what we're trying to do next summer. So I think that's kind of, I know that, I'm sorry,
No.
that's how we have to do it to try
And
to,
I like the PR piece. I think
Yeah.
that being able to share with the kids, with the families, like this is something that's gonna be happening. And this has been something I haven't really shared other than with our very small PTO group.
Yep.
Just because there was nothing finalized and I don't want to share anything. When we got the blueprints in, I was talking to a group of fifth graders and they had shared, and that are going to middle school, and they said, what's one thing that you would love to see at Jefferson? They were bringing me a check from the credit union for $500. They wanted a new playground with their $500. I just giggled, but I did show them the blueprints for the playground and explain, what was what, and to see the joy on their faces, even though they weren't probably going to experience it, they might still come back as seventh or eighth graders and play on it, but I
Yeah,
think
playground has been there
it's gonna
for
be.
35 years down
It's
there.
gonna be an
My kids
exciting
were
thing. We're gonna
excited.
have a party when
Yeah.
we announce this to the kids, we're gonna have a party and
Yeah.
celebrate this, because it's gonna be a good day. So,
So we'll get it right this time.
yeah,
so were we on board? I don't know, what do you think, for bidding timing?
Yeah, by September, perhaps, for the second one, no, and then again, December,
If need be.
if need be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we have time to react.
Hypothetically, yeah, I mean, if we did a September, like, bid date September or something, maybe this first week of school or whatever, and then we could do one after for December or January. That still sets us in a very good position to move forward for June.
And then after each bid opening, if we have more than one more after this, we'll reconvene, meet specifically about this, the bids, to look at it, kick it around, and that would be when we would, launch, and maybe have Angela here. If there's questions about finance, maybe. I like to have a couple people on our side that can answer questions on their own behalf,
sure.
like Courtney and Jeff, of course, but that will be the next time we talk about it, once we get the bid opening and bring it here to this group to discuss it like we are now.
So I would make a motion for rebidding, for a rebid for September 1st. And I think that's something that we should do as a board. That's something that is on paper, that would be a good idea. Unless somebody wanted to.
Should we say after September?
Around, yeah. I mean,
Because you had said that I thought you said around Thanksgiving would be a good time.
Thanksgiving would be a good time for the PR.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The conceptual drawing.
Okay, yeah. All right.
But I would like to get it out the bid September, so then we can maybe rebid it before January 1st or whatever. But I'd like to try to, if we have to, I want to always be able to have to bid it twice. In case we miss a couple contractors that actually did want it on. The only other question but that was a motion that I thought we should do it for.
Make the motion for the last Friday of September.
Oh, but no, sooner,
Like the first, you said.
I would think first.
I mean, not the last Friday of September, but the first Friday of September.
That's,
To get Labor Day behind us.
Okay, so you need a second?
Yep.
No, second.
Okay. Any discussion, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. 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 No opposed? So the motion carries unanimously.
The only thing I had was, and I know it's pretty straightforward. The last thing is that you're bidding it, that it's most advantageous for us as a district to get something done productively or efficiently.
Yeah, I'd like,
That's between you two though, that you should be.
Right.
I'd like the minutes to provide context for that, that under these circumstances, since we only got one bid, we want to put that for the second bid, due in. That, we're committed to the project.
I appreciate your support immensely.
You just said
Yeah.
When it comes to the meeting, it'll be a good day.
That's gonna be good.
We'll have a party, right?
Another party.
We'll do it like a schoolyard
We're
party.
ribbon cutting and
Yeah,
all we got.
right, that'll be fun.
You'll have the entire board there.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Are there any other thoughts, questions, comments? Otherwise, I'll look for
On this project?
adjournment.
Well, I did get an email, suggesting something on the agenda that we didn't put on the agenda, so, it's not legal business. To correct the recording of meetings, if this has not been addressed. I don't know if it's been addressed yet. Apparently, there's been some trouble, making the meetings public. And I don't for the minute understand what the problem is. But, it's a problem that needs to be taken care of. And we have received numerous inquiries and complaints, I know about that, on this issue. And was told that this issue comes to this committee. Now, I'm not sure that it does, is it?
There would be a responsibility of administration, I think, to facilitate.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question to clarify? So you're talking about
Yes.
okay, and I don't know that it's the Buildings and Grounds Committee to
Yeah, I don't know.
identify
Grounds
how
either.
each committee
Yeah,
works things. I often like to take tours and have you guys kick the tires and see things.
sure.
And I think that's very valuable. And I also know that it's not without some, maybe hesitancy that people can't attend those kind of meetings, but I wouldn't do it to prevent someone from coming. I do it because I think it's important for you to look at what's happening in the
sure,
building.
yeah.
So,
We can always record it though, if we know in advance if that's the case. We got an IT department here. so-
Yeah, the thing is, we only have 4 standing committees, and it's hard to like pigeonhole everything, with a kind of a logical reason. So you wouldn't send this to the curriculum committee, you wouldn't send it to the finance committee. So I think I'm just raising it to bring it to the attention, and
We're aware of some logistical issues in
Right.
terms of who is initiating the recording, so if we don't do it just the way, you're supposed to, then it won't stream.
Right.
And so I think we're into correcting this,
okay.
because I had some discussion with IT today.
and they were
Yeah,
here
no
helping
worries.
me.
So could you throw something in the minutes on that? Because the person that sent me the thing, I'd like to say, well, we brought it up, even though it wasn't on the agenda. And it is currently under repair.
I think leave it up to him and like speak with IT and Jessica or whoever else.
Sure,
deal with
but
that.
we become a funnel for.
Yeah.
For grievances and petitions.
I may get involved logistically with the building and IT like we always do, whether I have to run data wires or something like that, but I don't know that it's anything that would be presented at a committee to resolve something.
Sure.
We would work with the
Sure.
director that's gonna have a meeting and make sure like,
I'm just bringing it up because
I learned how to.
I got a
do
message
things
on
the
that.
first time, so.
I wanted it to be part of it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
One comment I'll make is that I think our citizens and the taxpayers would like more transparency. So if available, or if it's convenient, when we're not on site, to have a recording of the Buildings and Grounds is probably today. This is a perfect example of when things should be recorded and they can be recorded, but logistically, sometimes it's not easy. And I think our citizens are completely aware of that. It's just, I think they haven't, there's been no report in the past year or so. The Buildings and Grounds hasn't had many recordings at all, I think.
That's fair.
Okay,
Well,
so
yeah,
that's where I think the concern is rooting from.
Okay.
But then in the bigger issue, I think the resolving of, our new superintendent and then the Buildings and Grounds to try to improve our communications to our public, that's something that needs to go somewhere, and that's what
Right. Yeah.
Gary is referring to right now.
Okay.
So maybe we need to have that figured out, or we need to resolve that, but that's something that we need to sure forward with, because people want to hear us. So it's very hard to hear me in the recording sometimes, not all the time, because I'm pretty loud, but sometimes it's harder to hear Gary, because, no, I'm making a joke. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying. I think that's the root of it, but we need to address that. So that's
Okay.
maybe not the moment for these people here, but that's, I
Sure.
think is what we're trying
So
to
I
describe.
want to get that on record.
Yeah, but and I can appreciate it.
No, then we brought that up. We
Okay.
brought this up.
Right.
And then
Well,
it's
so,
being
yeah.
addressed.
And I typically always thought that, you know, a picture says 1,000 words, well, a tour says 1,000,000.
Yep.
You know, and when we were looking
Sure.
at, the Washington, quote unquote, the leak in the Washington pool was actually groundwater coming in the building. And those are the kinds of things I think are super valuable for you guys to understand. Otherwise, I fear that I come across like I might be complaining as opposed to explaining. And when you can see it and walk and see what's going on, it provides me some relief to know that you guys.
Oh, no, I
See
think
it
that's
firsthand.
fundamental. I mean,
So historically, my meetings have been tours, and then I try very
Right.
hard to encapsulate the meeting minutes concisely enough to present them. I know those are, but now we got the technology that to compare buildings and grounds as to do this, the other ones do. So I understand where they're coming from.
Sure.
So. how-
Yeah, I understand that part. Yeah,
Yeah.
if we're, you know,
We're talking about it.
the other thing I want is, go ahead.
The minutes, try to get the minutes on sooner. 'Cause that's
Oh, well, yeah.
Within I don't want to give you a timeline.
No, yeah,
If you can try. that.
yeah, I try my best. I'll try harder.
Because I got to think about that as well.
Yeah.
So the other thing is the progress report on the ventilation thing that's going on at Blanket. Where are we on that project?
Well, as of about 12:16 today, we got a phone call from the engineer saying that New York says it's gonna be on the truck tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So that's
I
great.
still like to check us in the mail.
Right,
Yeah.
well, yeah, it should be here next week. So the first thing I did, because we had kind of a drop dead date,
Because the women's swimming season,
August 9th.
August 9th.
Yeah.
That's getting
So-
pretty tight.
Well, if it came any later than next week, we would have to impact the swim team more than just the first week they're in.
Yeah.
So I called Paige, and I've been keeping her in the loop. She's the swim coach. So I talked to her today and said, do you have, we're still gonna try to get this done the first week of August. And because of the budgeting and the bidding that we have, we're $137,000 short of the budget. So we have room. I'm authorizing them to do some overtime and to do some weekends to make sure we don't impact negatively the swim team.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and we'll have the proper documentation of their overtime and that stuff, but I think it's important that we do what we can, so Paige doesn't have to go to Two Rivers and use their pool, or the YMCA and use their pool. She's willing to do that.
Yeah.
And we'll know, takes 2 days to demo the unit, and the rest of the month will be used to install the unit, run it through its paces, make all the electronics work, make sure it's cooling the water and the air like it's supposed to. So we're gonna, our aim is still to get it done before Monday, August 8th. And that's still our goal. Paige says I'm good, even if I have to do some extra stuff during the first week of school or my first week of practice. Again, she's kind of like Courtney. This is such a bad situation now. I'm willing to go through a little bit of pain to make something to make it beautiful if we have to wait a couple days.
Yeah.
So that's the conversation, and that's kind of the status update.
Anything else? No, go to the order. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
We're off. I don't have any more of these meetings, any more meetings this week, do you?
No.
I mean,
Today's Thursday, and we're gonna be.
well, honestly, we could have, at the rate we're going. Okay, thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
See you.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we on, Courtney,
What?
when are we on?
Next week, Wednesday, I think.
Okay.
Wednesday afternoon. Yep.